So I feel like I'm a little bit on the edge of automotive insanity. I'm sure many of you have seen some pretty incredible collections on YouTube. There's a lot of great YouTubers with great car collections. But the problem with that is I'm not really a YouTuber. I'm barely a YouTuber. I mean, I'm just like a guy that likes cars, and I have a little bit of a car buying problem. And I found myself in a predicament where I have four pretty incredible and pretty amazing cars. So what I want to do today, before I start trimming the fat off of this collection, is kind of doing a little collection tour garage update style video. I have the cars lined up in order of cylinders. We have a V6, a V8, a V10, and a V12. I'm going to touch on each car, talk a little bit about why I got the car, what some of my favorite and least favorite things are, and then what my plan is with them, because I certainly can't keep them all, and I certainly feel like I'm starting to lose my mind just a little bit. So without further ado, let's get started with the 2021 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Willys. Starting off with the 2021 Jeep. So I ordered this Jeep in May of 2021, waited a little over 4 months to take delivery of it, and it was the first brand new vehicle that I've gotten to order. Now, at the time that I ordered this, I worked for a dealer group that had a Jeep store, so I was able to get basically a really low price on it. And at the same time, in 2021, COVID values were so high that I was able to lease it and get a really high residual, which meant I had a very low lease payment, and that's why I did it. I was definitely a value-driven decision, and I really do like the Jeep, and I've really enjoyed the Jeep in the 3-something years that I've had it. One of my favorite things, and I've said this before, is that it's a great all-season vehicle. Here in Wisconsin, we do get some pretty crazy winters. We do get a lot of snow at times, and this thing can cut through it like a knife. It is very competent in bad weather, but it's also fun in the summer. I can take the doors off it, I can put the top back, and really enjoy the weather in it, and that's kind of cool, and there's not a lot of vehicles that are good at doing both. Another thing I really like is the cargo space in the Jeep. You can carry a surprising amount of things in this, especially if you put the seats down for just kind of a regular sized vehicle. And that's come in handy a lot more than I thought it would. And that has ended up being one of the things that I really liked about this Jeep that I didn't realize I would like when I got it. And the third thing is that I got to custom order it. And that might sound stupid, but it is a lot of fun. And you know, when you order a new Stellantis product, they actually put your name on the window sticker, which is a total gimmick, to be clear, but I'm just a sucker for gimmicks and I'm stupid like that. But it's cool to be able to pick all the options, the color, the premium audio system, the safety equipment, all the stuff that you kind of want, it's going to have. And like every Corvette owner ever, I can brag about how my Jeep is a one of one, probably because nobody else was stupid enough to order something as obnoxious as this will say. But I have really liked the Jeep, and I have really enjoyed my time with it. Now, there are two things that I don't like, and it's the same two things I said in the review I did of this like a year and a half ago. The first one is that it's just not great with gas mileage, and obviously it's a brick. It's not going to be great with gas mileage, but I'm talking about like 16 in the winter, and that's just in the 16 range. It's just bad. It's not good, and it really does kind of suck when it's supposed to be your daily driver. And the second thing is that it's just not good on the highway. And in fact, since I've gotten this last video that I made about the Jeep, it's gotten worse, I think. The tires certainly are shot. These mud tires, they're really hard to keep them from getting choppy and noisy, which these certainly are. But I also feel like this power sliding soft top has gotten a lot noisier since I've had it, and that's not something that I've really appreciated. And I don't know, it's just kind of getting more and more annoying as time went on. So with that being said, the Jeep is moving on. Obviously, it's a lease, so it was kind of limited in the time that I had with it anyway. And if I did want to buy it out, it's currently about worth $10,000 less than the buyout number from the lease company. So that's not happening. And I'm actually turning in about 2 days from now from when I'm shooting this video. So I am certainly going to miss the Jeep. I do plan on doing a kind of ownership overview video, hopefully, before I get rid of it. And I will miss it a little bit, but I am very excited to have what it is replacing it with, and that is 2015 Mercedes-Benz S550 4MATIC, the newest car in the fleet, the S-Class. I'm really excited to have this car. I've been on the hunt for one for quite a while, and in January 2025, I finally found the one I wanted. I flew all the way out to New Jersey to pick it up, and with my mother, we had a nice little trip up to New York City and back, and let me just say, what a great car to do almost a 1,000-mile road trip in. This thing was almost flawless. I mean, it has just been an incredible car in the first few weeks that I've had it. And without a doubt, my favorite thing about it is just how luxurious and comfortable it is. The suspension is great. The powertrain feels like butter when you're taking off. It really is mind-boggling to me how nice it still has held up, given the fact that it is a decade old now. My other favorite thing about the car is that this thing is like a king of depreciation. This car was stickered roughly $110,000 new in 2015, and I picked it up for less than a quarter of that. And it's only a two-owner car with about 53,000 miles on it when I got it. It's got 54,000 on it now. But so far, it's been great. Now, I'll probably eat those words a little bit when it's time to maintain and hopefully not repair the car. But we'll see how that goes because I do plan on making this my daily driver for the next few years. So far, I haven't found too much I don't like about it. The biggest thing certainly is that being a decade old, you're missing a lot of the nice features like Apple CarPlay that you're kind of accustomed to with the newer cars. The integration with like your phone and whatnot is not as good as it is on newer stuff. And you do see the age just a little bit there. But other than that, everything I found that I don't like is super pedantic. Like, I wish it had a heated steering wheel, but just saying that out loud makes me sound like kind of a pansy. So, you know, there's really very few things to complain about with the S-Class. Now, I realize 2 to 3 years as a daily driver may not sound like a lot, but as you may have been able to tell, I kind of have a car buying problem. And of the 21 cars that I've had, only 3 of them have lasted longer than a year. And we have 2 of them sitting in this lineup right here. So that's the story with the S-Class. I'm excited to have it and make some more videos on it. But let's get over the daily driver thing and let's hop into some more fun weekend cars. And we're going to start with the 1995 Dodge Viper RT10. The Viper. I can't believe that I've had this car only 5 years this year in 2025. And while I have covered this on the channel before, the long story short on this car was that it was sitting in a barn in Michigan. It was running and driving, but it was very dirty and cosmetically imperfect, which it still is cosmetically imperfect. But I brought it back, I cleaned it up, I got it to do what it needed to do, and I have really enjoyed this car since. One of my favorite things, without a doubt, about this car is just the raw, old school experience of it. They just can't make something like this today. You have a massive 8-liter naturally aspirated V10. It's all of its power to the extremely wide 335mm rear tires. It is a 6-speed manual like every Viper that ever left the factory, and it's got no traction control, no stability control, no anti-lock brakes, no airbags, no exterior door handles. You even have to watch out because you might burn your leg on the exhaust when you step out of it, and that just makes it cool. It is such a crazy thing to think about that they were able to even make a car like this, because this thing has lawsuit written all over it. But they did, and now it is kind of an icon in its own right. And, you know, it's just something that I just can't explain how much fun it's been to own this thing. And while the second point that I make may sound kind of dumb, my other favorite thing about having this car is that the community of Viper owners. I've made friends and acquaintances because of this car. I convinced one of my best friends to inadvertently buy his own Viper because of this car. And I've gotten to do some pretty incredible experiences with other Viper owners, such as the Tail of the Dragon event we did this year with it. And this car did a 1,750-mile road trip with almost no hiccups. It had one slight, you know, the brake lights didn't want to work for a minute, but that was it. And on a car that's going to be 30 years old this year, that is pretty crazy. And it handled Tail of the Dragon like a champ. It kept up with Vipers that were 20 years newer than it. So it really, really has been a pleasure to own. The only thing that I can really knock this car on is the roof situation. The roof situation does suck. Whether you're using the hard top, the soft top, it doesn't matter. It's not a good time. It leaks. It's annoying to put on. It's annoying to take off. Not recommended. But that is it. And I'm going to tell you something right now. I would sell every single one of these cars before I sold this one. This one is not going anywhere. It is here for the long haul. And I am super happy to be able to call this one mine. But last and certainly not least, we need to talk about the good old V12 of the collection, the 2005 Aston Martin DB9. The DB9. So I picked this car up in March of 2024. I was just browsing for cars online one day, like you do, and I found a good deal on this one at a Porsche dealership, and I decided to pick it up and drive it ever since. It's been a great car so far. One of my favorite things about this, obviously, is that it's a V12. Not only is this the first V12 car that I've owned, it's the first V12 car I even got to drive. So that was pretty cool. Number two, it's a great GT car. Before this car, I had a 2005 Lotus Elise, And while they're both British sports cars, that Elise was raw, it was brutal, and even though it handled like it was on rails, this car is the opposite end of the spectrum of that. It's a lot more comfortable. It's meant for more longer drives, and that's what it's great at doing. And I really enjoy taking this when I got to go somewhere a little farther away. It's a great car to hop in and go. And the third thing, and probably my favorite thing, if we're being honest, is that it is just drop dead gorgeous. Inside and out, this car has aged so beautifully, and there's not really a bad angle on it, no matter where you look. Now, admittedly, I don't love the aftermarket wheels. That's what came with the car, so, womp womp, I guess. But it's just a gorgeous car to look at, no matter where you look. What I have not liked about the DB9, there really hasn't been much. The biggest thing, though, is that to me, it feels a little underpowered. Now, I realize, it's older cars, 450 horsepower. It's not going to be as fast as what they can make today, but it doesn't even feel like 450 horsepower to me. It actually feels less than that, where I would say the Viper feels like it puts out more power than it was rated at. This car feels like it puts out less. And I just wish it had a little bit extra power, because otherwise it really is great to drive, and it is a great car to take on longer trips. Now, the plan with the DB9, this will probably be leaving sometime in the somewhat near future, probably spring or summer. And the reason for that is I bought it intending to be a 6 to 12 month car. Like I've said numerous times in this video, I'm just into cars in general, and I cannot afford to keep them all, and I don't want to have just an out-of-hand fleet. And this is the most valuable one that's sitting here, so it makes sense to get rid of this one so I can get some different things and experience more cars. And I truly have enjoyed the ownership experience of this DB9, and I do want to do at least a few more fun things with it before I pass it along. But, I have no complaints. A lot of people think these cars are unreliable. That has not really been the case for me. It's been a solid car, given that it's a 20-year-old British sports car. And, I really can't knock it too hard. So Aston Martin's been a great car, but I think it's time to see what else I can find. So what's next for the collection and the channel in general? And the answer to that is, I really don't know. The one thing that these four cars have in common, despite all being quite different from one another, is that I bought them because I found a deal on them. A lot of the times when I shop for cars, I just look for deals. And that is what ends up usually making me pull the trigger, even if it's a car that I'm not super into. And I've been surprised by cars in the past where I didn't think I'd like it as much, and I really did, and vice versa. So we'll see what ends up happening. In my head, I really do want to check off the bucket list item of having a Lamborghini. I could maybe slightly sort of try to justify a Gallardo, even though that would terrify me. I do want one, and I do want to, make that maybe the next 6 to 12 month car. But that is something that I feel like is going to be a big commitment, and it's going to take a little bit of convincing for me to pull the trigger on one of those. But other than that, in all honesty, it'll probably be just some random car that I wasn't expecting to get. And while I will certainly miss these two cars on the end, I think this will be a great two-car combo for a little while, and I'm sure a third will end up joining at some point into the collection again. So we'll see what happens with that. Please subscribe to see what ends up coming to the channel next. Thank you for watching, and hopefully we'll see you in the next video. All the power to the rear-wheel drive. The rear-wheel drive? The rear wheels, maybe? Bought it in March of 2024. What is that? Dirt. It's dirt. I feel like every time I film a YouTube video, some car with loud sirens has to go by. Doesn't matter where I am, doesn't matter what video it is. It seems like I attract sirens when I take my YouTube camera out.